So I mentioned in my last video that I had a job. I had been whining for months and months and months about not being able to get a radio job, and finally I got one in the middle of nowhere. For those who don't know, I live in Toronto. Big city. Born and raised here. City girl. You know, I love my city. I love being able to jump on the subway and be downtown in 15 minutes, or, you know, jumping on the TTC and going wherever I need to go in the city for a token. You know, this job was completely out of my comfort range, and I didn't want to take it from the beginning. And I kind of let myself get talked into this job by a couple of friends, and actually by the PD of the station. I'd originally turned it down, and he called the next day and kind of talked me into it, and I was just like, nah, and I didn't really want to let everybody around me down. But I think the reason why, okay, I'll just tell you what happened. I decided I was going to take a Greyhound bus out to Manitoba, this backwoods town up near Churchill, Manitoba. It's like way up there. Google it. Its name is Thompson. There's like 13,000 people that live there. They just got a movie theater. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Oh! So, I get this job offer to do the afternoon drive, and I kind of had to like find the good in it, and I wasn't really excited about the job. I was more trying to like talk myself into it, like, okay, I have an apartment and it's gonna be right next door to the only Tim Hortons in town. Yes, there's only one. And you know, that wasn't cool, because right now where I live there are 5 within a 5-minute walking distance of my house. You know, I even have one that I walk into and they know my order right away, which is like a Canadian girl's dream. So, and I wasn't excited about it, and I didn't want to go, and I didn't want to do the job because I didn't want to do afternoon drive in the middle of nowhere. That morning, my mom took me to the bus station. The bus was over an hour late. It was 1 a.m. when it was supposed to come, and it didn't get there till 2. The bus station shut down, and there was about 15 or 20 of us all freezing our butts off outside of the station. Super, right? So, I finally got on the bus. I couldn't sleep, and obviously if anybody's ever taken a Greyhound bus anywhere for an extensive period of time, sleep is not an option. There are noisy people on the bus. There were kids on the bus. There was a crazy old man behind me threatening to kill everybody. And it was an unpleasant experience. The next morning, we stopped at a Tim Hortons, finally. So I got off, freshened up, and I literally had to force myself to get back on the bus because I did not want to go. And from that moment on, it became torture to be on that bus. And I knew I couldn't get off anymore, because if I got off, I would not get back on. So, we made it to Winnipeg. 30 hours. 30 hours on a bus with kids and the crazy old man. I still had not slept. I didn't really eat anything because, holy cow, you can't really eat when you're on a bus like that. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So, I was like nauseous, and I was overtired, and everything on me hurt. My butt was numb, like total numb bum. Have you ever had numb bum? Let me tell you something. Numb bum should be like in a medical journal, because it is the most unpleasant thing in the universe. I promise. So we get to Winnipeg, and now I have to change buses. I have to go from the Greyhound bus that I'm on and transfer to the bus that's going to Thompson. And we got there because our bus was late, and it had broken down now twice on the way to Winnipeg. Once with a flat tire, and once obviously in Toronto, making us like 2 hours behind. I had about 10 minutes to get to my connecting bus. Not much time. So I finally made it to the bus. I got through the security check. I had to get like patted down and stuff. It was ridiculous. To get on a Greyhound bus to go to the middle of nowhere, I have to get patted down. I didn't even get patted down in Toronto. And what does that tell you about this place? Let me tell you, it's not good. So, get on the bus. We made a couple of stops along the way, and then it started snowing. And I'm not just talking a little bit of snow, I'm talking like monster snow, like the biggest snowstorm I've ever been a part of in my whole life. You could not see 2 feet in front of the bus. It was blowing like crazy. The highway went completely white. So this bus driver pulls off the road at a little diner, Diana's Diner, near the side of the road, 3 hours from Thompson. This is kind of where Tara went mental. I snapped. And every thought that had been in my head for the last 30 plus hours came flooding in again. And I started hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing. And I jumped off the bus. I grabbed my stuff and I went inside the diner and I said, I need to buy a bus ticket back to Winnipeg. Okay. Diana looked at me like I was some kind of crazy. She's like, oh honey, you're like 6 hours from Winnipeg. And I said, I know, but I need to go back to Winnipeg right now. And she said, okay. So she starts writing me up the bus ticket and she said, you know, this bus isn't going to be here till 6 o'clock tonight. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon. And I was like, I don't care, I'll wait. And she kind of looked at me like, oh, she said, honey, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Toronto and I just want to go home. And she said, oh, you are a long way from Toronto, honey. What are you doing out here? And I said, there was this job and I don't want it and I didn't want it and everyone made me take it. And I completely melted down. Complete emotional breakdown. And she said, stay right here. So she goes and talks to this guy and comes back. And she says, my boyfriend, Dwight, is a truck driver and he has to go back to Winnipeg to get his load tonight. Maybe he can take you. And I said, does he kill people? And she kind of looked at me like, you are from the city. And she said, okay, maybe you don't want to go with him then. And I started laughing and I was like, that's not very reassuring, Diana. And she said, no, it'll be fine. Let me go talk to him. But he's leaving right now. So she goes to talk to him. She comes back and she's like, he said he'd take you. So I said, yes, absolutely. I will go with truck driver Dwight. So Dwight and I jump in the car. We load up my luggage, which by the way was excessive. And we start driving back to Winnipeg. Now Dwight talks the entire time. I'm trying to like figure out what the heck I'm thinking about, what I'm gonna do when I get home, how I'm gonna get home. I didn't really have a plan. I just told him that I wanted to go to the airport because I knew once I get to the airport then I can get home. So he's driving, the roads are ridiculous, it's such a blizzard, and he's just talking to me. He's just like, you know what, I don't blame you. You know, Thompson is a rough place and city people kind of find it hard to be there. He's like, most of the time on the weekends this highway is filled with people booking it out of Thompson going to Winnipeg for the weekend. And I thought, oh, I do not want to be a part of this. Of course, what I should have been thinking is, what the heck are you doing with a truck with a trucker? Are you crazy? So 3 hours later we get to Winnipeg and he drops me off at the airport, wishes me good luck, shakes my hand and goes on his merry Dwight way. Okay, so now I'm at the airport. What the heck do I do now? Because my whole family thinks that I'm on a bus to Thompson and that I'm gonna get there in the next 3 hours. I have about 3 hours to figure out what I'm gonna do before people start calling to find out where I am. Didn't really know what to do. Picked up the phone, called my friend. And I just said, I'm at the airport in Winnipeg. I need to come home. I don't know what to do. This girl and I have been friends since we were in junior kindergarten. That's a really long time. And she just composed herself. She got rid of the shock first. You know, the shock passed. And then she said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna book a flight home, call me back, tell me what time the flight comes in, and I will be there waiting for you at the airport. So I get up to the counter at Air Canada, and the lady was super nice, and you know, I was clearly upset and visibly shaken, and she just said, okay honey, let's figure this out. You want to go to Toronto? And I said, I need to go to Toronto tonight. She said, okay, there's a flight leaving in just under an hour. We can get you through, get your bags checked through security, not a problem. It'll be $500. What? $500? Oh, right. Did I forget to mention? It was March break. Ugh. So I'm like, okay, I will take the ticket. She says, okay, now I have to deal with your bags. I have 3 bags. Air Canada lets you have 1, then they charge you extra for an additional bag, and then obviously I had the 3rd bag. The problem with the 3rd bag was it was excessively overweight. It was like 72 pounds. Keep in mind, I was moving to Manitoba. So she did everything she could. She knocked off a bunch of money. She figured it out. I get on the plane and I fly home to Toronto. The plane didn't even take off on time, by the way, because of the huge storm that hit Winnipeg. The one that I was racing through in Thompson to get back to Winnipeg. Yeah, ooh, it hit big time. The plane had to get de-iced twice. So, plane lands, I get my luggage. My friend is waiting for me as soon as the doors open, and I just like sobbing. Like, I'm such a failure. My family's gonna hate me. Like, everyone's gonna think that I'm such a disaster and I'm so worthless. Like, I can't believe that I did this. I called my teacher from school, Jim Carr, who me and my best friend got really super close with during school, because I don't know why. We just clicked with him right away, and we were like, you know, like those sucker fishes on sharks? Like, that's what we were. We were his sucker fishes. And I called him and I told him that I was home, and I expected him to be mad. You know, like, you screwed up, that was your one chance, you screwed up, you'll never work in this town again. Because that was the emails I'd been getting from the other announcers at the radio station, telling me that I was a loser and all this kind of stuff. Jim Carr said, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at whoever told you that you weren't worth it. I'm mad at whoever told you that you couldn't do it when you were 4 or 14 or 24. Someone told you that you weren't worth it. Someone told you that you couldn't do something, that you were going to amount to nothing, and you believe them. At some point in your life, you accepted this to be a truth. And he's like, and it's not true. I really do feel like I let a lot of people down. And that's the hardest part about being back. I don't regret coming home. I feel bad because everyone else looks at me like I'm broken. Like she couldn't even get there. She had a mental breakdown and came home. But they don't understand. And they weren't there. How could they understand? So I think I just want people to know that I'm not broken. Take care, guys. And if you remember one thing from my video, please remember that you are worth it. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something, or that you're not good at something, or that you're a loser or worthless, or you're never going to amount to anything, because that's bull. You can do anything you put your mind to. And don't let anybody talk you into doing stuff that you don't want to do. Just say no. Drugs, sex, beer, jobs. That's all.